Mr. President. I thank the senator from Rhode Island for his courtesy in allowing me to go next. Mr. President, this afternoon, Senator Murray, the senator from Washington State, who is the ranking member of the Senate Committee on Health, the Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee, and I'm the chairman of the committee, made a joint and bipartisan announcement that the Senate's Health Committee will hold hearings beginning the week of September 4th on the actions Congress should take to stabilize and strengthen the individual health insurance market so that Americans will be able to buy insurance at affordable prices in the year 2018. We will hear from state insurance commissioners, from patients, from governors, from healthcare experts and insurance companies. Committee staff will begin work this week, working with all committee members to prepare for these hearings and discussions. That was the announcement that Senator Murray and I made today. Now, in my own words, the reason for these hearings is that unless Congress acts by September 27, when insurance companies must sign contracts with the federal government to sell insurance on the federal exchange next year, millions of Americans with government subsidies in up to half our states may find themselves with zero options for buying health insurance on the exchanges next year, 2018. Many others without government subsidies will find themselves unable to afford health insurance because of rising premiums, copays, and deductibles. There are a number of issues with the American healthcare system, Mr. President, but if your house is on fire, you want to put out the fire. And the fire in this case is the individual health insurance market. Both Republicans and Democrats agree on this. Our committee, the Health Committee, had one hearing on the subject on February 1, and will work intensively between now and the end of September in order to finish our work in time to have an effect on health insurance policies next year sold in 2018. I'm consulting with Senator Murray to try to make these hearings as bipartisan as possible and to involve as many committee members as possible. I'll be consulting with Senator Hatch and Senator Wyden so that the Finance Committee is aware of any matters we discuss that might be within its jurisdiction. A number of senators, both Democratic and Republican, have approached Senator Murray and me and say they'd like to be involved. We're going to find a way for them to be involved and update them on our progress. In these discussions, the ones I'm describing, we're dealing with a small segment of the total health insurance market. Only about 6% of insured Americans buy their insurance in the individual market. Only about 4% of insured Americans buy their insurance on the Affordable Care Act exchanges. But while these percentages are small, they represent large numbers of Americans, including many of our most vulnerable Americans. We're talking about roughly 18 million Americans in the individual market. About 11 million of them buy their insurance on the Affordable Care Act exchanges. About 9 million of these 11 million have Affordable Care Act subsidies. And unless we act, many of them may not have policies available to buy in 2018 because insurance companies will pull out of the collapsing markets. It would be like having a bus ticket and no bus coming through town. Just as important, unless we act, costs could rise once again, even making health care unaffordable for the additional 9 million Americans in the individual market who receive no government support to help buy insurance. Roughly 2 million of them who buy their health insurance on the exchanges, but who don't qualify for a subsidy, and roughly 7 million who buy their insurance outside of the exchanges. This means they have no government help paying for their premiums, their copays, and their deductibles. As we prepare for these discussions, I have urged again that President Trump temporarily continue the cost reduction payments through September so that Congress can work on short-term solution for stabilizing the individual markets in 2018. These cost-sharing reduction subsidies reduce copays and reduce deductibles and reduce other out-of-pocket costs. to help low-income Americans buy their health insurance on the exchanges. We're talking about those who make under 250% of the federal poverty level, or roughly $30,000 for an individual or $60,000 for a family of 4. Without payment of these cost-sharing reductions, Americans will be hurt. Up to half the states will likely have bare counties with 0 insurance providers offering insurance on the exchanges, and insurance premiums will increase by roughly 20%, according to the American Health Insurance Plans. In my opinion, any solution that Congress passes for a 2018 stabilization package would need to be small, bipartisan, and balanced. It should include funding for the cost-sharing reductions, but it also should include greater flexibility for states in approving health insurance policies, which should reduce costs. Now, it is reasonable to expect that if the President were to approve continuation of cost-sharing subsidies for August and September, and if Congress in September should pass a bipartisan stabilization bill that includes cost-sharing for 1 year, that is 2018, it is reasonable to expect that the insurance companies in 2018 would lower their rates. They have told us, in fact, Oliver Wyman, an independent observer of health care, has told us that lack of funding for cost-sharing reductions would add 11 to 20% to premiums in 2018. So if the President, over the next 2 months, and the Congress, over the next year, take steps to provide certainty that there will be cost-sharing subsidies, that should allow insurance companies to lower the premiums that they have projected they will charge in 2018. In fact, many insurance companies have priced their rates for 2018 at 2 different levels, one with cost sharing and one without cost sharing. So it's important not only that the President approve temporary cost sharing for August and September, but that we, the Congress, in a bipartisan way, find a way to approve it for at least 1 year so we can keep the premiums down. Now, this is only one step in what we want to do about health insurance and about the larger question of health care costs. So we will proceed step by step. A subsequent step will be to try to find a way to create a long-term, more robust individual insurance market. But for the short term, our proposal is that by mid-September, we will see if we can agree on a way to stabilize the individual insurance market to keep premiums down and make affordable insurance available to all Americans. I thank the President.